Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Lush Gardener. So oftentimes I'm asked this question because in most of my videos, or in fact all of my videos, I keep talking about this, that you have to be very careful about your succulents, especially putting them out in direct sunlight or introducing them very slowly and acclimating them to direct sunlight. Or I might be saying, do not let the water sit on the crown area, blow it off in case if the water accidentally falls on them. Do not put them out in rain, otherwise they will get rotted. And I know a lot of you people might be thinking, why is it so important to do? Why can't we just leave them out on their own? Because in nature, I know this question is being asked a lot of times, or probably some people don't ask this question, but they do have this thing running back in their mind that what about the succulents that tend to grow in the wild? Is there anyone who's going to protect them? Is there anyone who's there to blow off that water from the crown area? And how do they survive in the wild if there is nobody to take care? How do they work on their own? Now guys, you need to understand that 70 to 80% of the succulents that we purchase or we get them home are hybrid succulents. Basically, these succulents are not meant to be in the wild. Basically, they do not have a natural habitat because these succulents are created by us, by humans. They are man-made. All of the succulents that you're seeing in this pot, whether it's a Graptocerium ghostii or it's the Purple Delight, Roman, Sedum Golden Glow, this is Alba Beauty, this is another Echeveria. All the bunch in this particular pot or in the arrangement that you're seeing are all hybrids. They will not survive in the wild. We need to understand one thing. There is a difference between natural varieties and hybrids. Hybrids are a little bit weaker as compared to our natural varieties. Like for example, I have Echeveria choinensis, which is a natural species of Echeveria that is found in Mexico. It is a natural variety. It is more stronger. It has a capability of handling a little bit more sun. Harsh environments, it is going to do quite well because it is a natural variety, whereas the man-made varieties are going to be a little weak, again depending upon the type of care that you give. You will not find these varieties in nature. If you are going to take this plant and put it in the wild, most probably in a couple of days it will start to die, probably because of the extreme weather or because of the lack of care, because these succulents are created in a controlled environment, probably in a nursery or probably in a lab. They have been created. They are not meant to be in the wild. They will not sustain in a natural habitat because they do not have a native location or a native area for them to grow. They are not native to any particular location. They are basically grown in a controlled environment, either in farms, nurseries or a lab. Now, to make it a little bit simple, I'll give you a very lame example, which is, let's say that you have a domesticated cat for, let's say, for 5 to 6 years, and now the cat has produced some kittens. Let's say the kittens have also grown up to a year. It's been a year that you have those kittens, and now you decide to put them out in the wild. Please don't do this. This is just an example. Let's say you put the kittens out in the wild. What's going to happen? So there are two things that are going to happen to that kitten. Either it's going to starve to death, or it is going to be eaten or killed by another animal. The reason why it's going to starve is basically it has been domesticated all this while. It has lost its wild instincts. It does not know how to defend itself. It does not know how to find food and hunt because it has been domesticated. If it survives starvation, let's say if happens to find food, it quickly picks up on how to fend food for itself. Probably it might fall prey to any predator because it has again lost the instincts to defend itself and to protect itself from other predators. The same thing goes, let's forget about the kittens. Let's say the kittens are very small. Let's say you happen to put your domesticated cat, which is almost 5 to 6 years old, you leave it in the wild. Again, the same thing. It has lost its instincts of being in the wild. It will not be able to hunt food because all this while it has been getting food from the bowl. It has forgotten how to hunt. Apart from that, it does not know how to defend itself. The stray cats, on the other hand, know how to find food. They know how to defend themselves, probably from other stray animals or stray dogs. But your domesticated cat or a kitten will not be able to survive in the wild. That's exactly how our hybrid succulents are. They do not have a natural habitat. Hence, they don't know how to react or how to survive in the wild. Most probably, if I'm going to put my Purple Delight out in the desert or out in the wild, it is not going to survive. Most probably either it's going to get dehydrated or it's going to get burnt, or probably it might get overwatered, especially if you are from a very tropical environment, or if you're going to, let's say, a desert and you're going to put this plant out there, it is not going to survive. Probably it might get burnt with the heat wave. So that is the reason why whenever I make videos, I give a little bit of details, and some people might think it's a little bit of over exaggeration that, oh, you have to blow off the water from the leaves, you do not have to offer afternoon direct sunlight, because some people might say in nature succulents are out there in full blast of sun and they do survive. That's completely incorrect, because not all succulents tend to grow in a particular location. They probably, let's say a succulent has put out seeds and the seeds tend to disperse everywhere in the particular vicinity. The seeds are not going to sprout or germinate everywhere. They will particularly find certain locations, like let's say crevices of a rock, or somewhere between the rocks or somewhere between the cracks, or probably there is a huge rock. They might probably start growing over there, wherein they do not come in contact with those harsh heat waves or let's say too much of water. So they might probably happen to grow somewhere in there. And of course, they are not going to be growing in an open space how we usually think how a plant would be growing. So they probably tend to get tucked in between the rocks. You can always Google the images of succulents growing in the wild and you'll get a fair idea of how they tend to grow. So this was being said about all these hybrids. We can't do much about that. We have to give all the possible care. How we tend to give it for our pets, that is the same type of attention and care we need to give. Of course, not to touch them every now and then and to water them every day. You basically have to give a visual attention to them and just check about their well-beings, check if there are any pests, check if the soil is completely bone dry, and only then go ahead and give the required care that they need. Now, being said that, as I said, there are certain natural varieties. Now, of course, we do not have a lot of natural varieties, and as I said, 70 to 80% of our succulents that we purchase are all hybrids. The reason is because these are selected and created into hybrids in order to have that beautiful color, so that the collectors can collect these colorful succulents. Whereas the natural varieties of succulents, most of the natural varieties succulents tend to look very bland. They do not have very striking colors. Most of these natural varieties have very subtle green color. But there are few exceptions, like our Echeveria chuinensis, which is from Mexico, which is a natural variety of Echeveria. And then we have our Sedum adolphi, which again, Sedum is a natural variety. So these varieties have become very popular for the only reason is because of their color. And if you have, or if you happen to see a very bland green looking succulent, of course you're not going to buy the succulent, because we all want to have really colorful, attractive succulents that have really bright colors. And that's one of the reason why the market of succulents, they are creating a lot of new hybrids which tend to possess a lot of intense, beautiful colors that tend to stay longer and which do not fade away. Again, this were two of the natural varieties, and then I have another hybrid. Over here I have another hybrid. This is Echeveria lemon lime variegated. You have a regular lemon lime and you also have the variegated one. This is the variegated one, and you can see it got a little bit burnt when it was exposed to afternoon direct sunlight. It was getting morning direct sunlight, but when the sun's direction changed, it happened to get a little bit of afternoon sunlight on this side, and you can see it happened to get burnt. But now there is a lot of new growth coming up because I've shifted it again to morning direct sunlight, wherein it doesn't come in contact with any afternoon direct sunlight. So as you can see, the hybrid succulents can be very, very delicate when it comes to strong sunlight or water staying on the crown area. These all things happen. That's why we need to give a little bit more care and not think that just because these succulents are growing in the wild and there is nobody to take care of it, and it's absolutely okay to just throw your succulents out and not give them the basic care, thinking that there is nobody to take care in the nature, then you're absolutely wrong, because these are hybrids. They do not have a natural habitat. They do not grow in nature. They do not have a particular native out there. They are completely man-made in a controlled environment with a controlled temperature. That's why they are more delicate and usually do not acclimate very well in a very new environment. We have to be extremely careful. That's why the 1 to 2 month period when you buy a succulent is very crucial. That's why you have to be extremely careful and do not put them directly out in afternoon direct sunlight. Otherwise they will get burnt, they will get damaged. So guys, that was all about it. I hope now you might have got a fair idea why we should not throw our succulents out in direct afternoon sunlight, thinking that out there in nature they are in full blast of sun, but that's not actually the case. They tend to grow according to where the seeds are dispersed. If they feel that the surroundings are good enough for them to grow, that is only when they tend to go. Or probably even if they start growing and then there is a lot of strong sun, they might probably not do quite well. Whereas a succulent that is growing in between some rocks, that is where it might find a proper environment for it to grow, or the proper growing condition, and that's where it will start to grow healthy. But if you're just going to take a succulent and put it out in afternoon direct sunlight, we all have very different temperature. Probably some people might have temperatures that are above 45 degrees Celsius. In that, your hybrid succulents are definitely not going to survive. Probably your natural variety of succulent might make it through, but not the hybrid succulents like our purple delight or graptosedum, or for that matter our aguides or champagnes. These might not do quite well in a temperature that is going to be above 45 degrees Celsius. So guys, that's all about it. I hope you might have got a fair idea of what I was trying to convey in this video. If you found this video helpful, please do give a like, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep propagating.